Right now on Upfront.
State Budget Showdown.
There is still an opportunity for my colleagues to get it right.
Votes expected in the Assembly and Senate this week. The Republican-controlled Budget Committee signing off.
That's always a possibility. We made tax cuts last time. The governor signed it into law.
Now, questions surrounding potential vetoes. And here to answer them all, our guest this Sunday, Democratic Governor Tony Evers. The fate soon in his hands and his next move. Then the presidential primary debate in Milwaukee.
I won't be signing any kind of pledges, and I don't think that parties should be trying to rig who should be on a debate stage.
The road to the Republican nomination running through Wisconsin, and a new announcement involving a key RNC committee is moments away. Anne Hathaway, head of the committee running the convention, is standing by. And bringing Hollywood to Wisconsin. Milwaukee native screenwriter and director John Ridley on his meeting this past week with the governor, his long-term vision, and the new tax incentives he wants from lawmakers.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. The state budget could pass the full Republican-controlled legislature and be on its way to Democratic Governor Tony Evers by the end of the week. The powerful Budget Committee wrapped up its work Thursday night, included a $3.5 billion income tax package, moving Wisconsinites from 4 to 3 tax brackets. The largest percentage drop, more than 1%, would impact the state's highest earners. Republicans also solidifying $32 million in cuts to the University of Wisconsin system, meant for diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The fate of the budget now soon to be in the hands of Governor Tony Evers, who joins us now from Madison. Governor, like always, welcome back to the show.
Good to see you again, Matt.
You've said you would likely veto the budget if the state's top income tax bracket was lowered or if the $32 million to the UW system was removed. Both have happened. If the budget comes to you as is, will you veto it?
Well, I'm not going to predict whether it's going to come come in that fashion to begin with. And you think about the tax cut. Obviously, I've made it a priority for the last 4+ years to make sure that tax cuts impact our middle class and not people that are millionaires. And so that, I'm not changing on that issue, but the fact of the matter is there's lots of time left. The budget has not been concluded. And so I'll kind of wait to see what it looks like. As it relates to the University of Wisconsin system, we shouldn't be talking about whether things are cut or not. The fact of the matter is they need more money, and they're one of the most important ways to create talent in our workforce, and so I think people are waking up on this issue, and they're contacting their legislators. And the good news is right now there's the Republicans have seen the light, and they put $32 million and retained $32 million for the University of Wisconsin system. So there's a lot of moving parts, and so I'm not going to get into whether I'm going to veto something or not veto something, because I believe at the end of the day we'll be in a good position.
Are you backing off your threats of potential vetoes?
No, but the fact of the matter is I don't know whether I'll be in a position to need to veto. Well, that's the issue. We, as you know, in these last minutes and the budget making is like making soup, I guess, and so we'll see what comes out of it. But no, I want a middle class tax cut. I don't want a tax cut that is primarily for the wealthy in the state of Wisconsin. And I believe the University of Wisconsin system should be well funded. And now we have a situation where at least that $32 million is retained, and so a lot of moving parts, Matt. And I'm not backing off where my belief system is, and we'll just see what happens.
Are you having active conversations with any lawmakers before this is voted on in the Assembly and Senate? And what would you like to see from lawmakers on the floor?
Well, I'd like to see a lot more thinking about what happens with the University of Wisconsin system. Obviously, it was a step in the right direction, and I think them retaining that $32 million for the university to access is a step forward. I'm encouraging people to contact their legislators, and it's not too late to make the things right for the University of Wisconsin system. In addition, we'll find out what the tax cut actually looks like going forward, even with the shared revenue piece. That one, we had a deal. It went back and forth, and some other changes were made. and we got through that. I anticipate that we'll get through this one too.
On the tax cut, I've heard some Republicans say they see this as a compromise between what Senator LeMahieu wanted, a flat tax, and your proposal. Do you see it that way?
No. There's a significant amount of money that is part of the taxes, the tax relief for wealthy people in the state of Wisconsin that should be for the middle class. And so, no, I don't believe this is a compromise position. That said, again, we've got lots of time left. There's all sorts of things going on in the legislature that I cannot predict, or anybody else. I just encourage people to contact their legislators. This is where the rubber hits the road.
Is there a scenario still where you would veto the full budget?
As I said, we're at the position right now that we hope we don't have to do that. And there's good reasons why that I believe that we can avoid doing that. The first step was retaining that $32 million. So let's let the legislators mess around with this for a while and see if they can do the right thing.
What type of impact would a full veto have on the shared revenue agreement that you came to with Republicans in education funding?
Well, I think it would mess it up. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we passed the legislation making that happen, but the money is obviously part of the budget. So we will see. As you know, I also have partial veto authority too, and that is all something that we're going to be looking at, and I'm not going to sit here and predict it today, but I am hopeful that that sanity will prevail in this process, and that we'll have a good budget that I can sign. Governor,
you signed parts of the sweeping agreement this past week in central Wisconsin. As you know now, some Milwaukee council members are considering suing over some of the Milwaukee-specific provisions, specifically related to DEI, school resource officers, changes to the Fire Police Commission that are now part of that law. Do you back those efforts?
Well, certainly I didn't, that was a give and take, obviously, for some things that I was against, but did some things that they didn't want to do too. But we anticipated this. This should be no surprise. These things are direct, taking away local control. And, we did one thing around local control by giving them more money, but in turn, we ended up having to make some really tough choices.
Do you support the efforts by those council members?
Well, that's determination. Whether I support it or not probably isn't all that important. They're the ones that are dealing with this issue. They're the ones that want to have that local control.
Republicans were working also to get a Brewers package done by the end of June. It appears like that will not happen this upcoming week. Speaker Vos this past week said negotiations have stalled. Is that how you see it with Brewers funding at this moment?
Well, I came up with my plan that I frankly believe is the best plan, and they don't have any. So it's difficult for me to say that I'm concerned about it. I believe that my plan will eventually be the most logical one. Basically, give them the money now. They have it a little bit ahead of time. Make some money on interest, and voila, we're done. Unfortunately, the speaker isn't able to bring it together. My plan is still out there, and hopefully that they'll settle on that.
Senator LeMahieu here outlined recently what he was looking at in terms of annual payments instead of your one-time $290 million. Is that something you still see yourself potentially supporting if Republicans go down that avenue and also ask for local control or local give-in from Milwaukee and Milwaukee County?
Yeah, I don't think we need to have Milwaukee or Milwaukee County paying into that. We just decided that we didn't want them to do certain things like going broke. And so the idea that somehow we fix that, but then, oh, by the way, you need a couple million here, a couple million there. The money is here. Republicans have said all along that they wanted the money to be used for a one-time cost. This is a one-time cost. And so I believe my plan is going to be the cheapest and the easiest to do.
Would that be a deal breaker for you if they required contributions from the city and county?
We'll see. I want to see the final work on that.
Quickly before you go, Governor, you raised some eyebrows at the state convention several weeks ago when you told fellow Democrats they could call you three-term Tony. Was that a re-election announcement?
That was not a re-election announcement. I have not decided and won't be making that decision for some time.
Democratic Governor Tony Evers. Governor, like always, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Take care.
You too. Attorney General Josh Kaul is spending these final hours before the budget passes urging lawmakers to fully fund the Office of School Safety, which was created in 2018 during the Walker administration after the Parkland school shooting. The office first relied on federal grant dollars and then federal COVID relief money that Kaul says will run out at the end of the year. The office was created using federal grant dollars. It's continued and expanded through federal ARPA dollars. What do you say to the argument, though, that we can't just keep spending what was one-time federal money and ballooning state money? There's got to be a pause at some point to this spending.
Yeah, well, first, this office was created in 2018 through bipartisan legislation. Governor Walker signed the office into law, and that's what launched the office. Now, one of the things that the statute creating the office did is it directed DPI to work with our Office of School Safety to identify sources of federal funding and to develop best practices. And we've done exactly that. And we have launched successful evidence-based programs. So ultimately, it's a question for the legislature of priorities. That's how they've got to make these decisions about whether they continue programs of any kind that the state government is operating.
Up next, the first Republican presidential primary debate just weeks away here in Milwaukee, and a new exclusive announcement about a key committee organizing the Republican National Convention. Next.